Hi, beautiful souls. My name is Sadhana. Welcome to my channel. Today I am here to do new moon readings. As we move into the new moon in Taurus tomorrow, I thought this would just be a beautiful day to do a few readings, and I'm going to do just a general group reading for everyone at this time. But I am not an astrologer, and I do have a tremendous interest. I follow a lot of people's blogs, and so my knowledge is fairly good. But I'm not an astrologer. I just want to put that out there. And generally speaking, what I've picked up on the energy of this new moon is that because the new moon is in the sign of Aries, it's actually, by the way that the skies have shifted over the past years, the new moon is actually sitting in the horns of Aries. And it's really funny just how life kind of falls into place. Is that hi, Ravinder Deep. I'm good. I just think it's really interesting. I was watching Outlander actually last night I watched it. And I don't know how many of you are Outlander fans, but that scene where Bree gets hit by the buffalo, and I don't know how she survived that fall, but she did. And so that kind of feels like the energy of this new moon to me. It feels like we need to be a little more careful and a little more cautious. And definitely, for sure, this is a time of acting on our plans and stepping forward and all of that, as every new moon is. But I am definitely sensing that need for caution, to really step forward a little more slowly, perhaps, a little more with a little more thought and care. Hi, Jen. Thanks for being here today. Nice to see you. So I'm going to start with a general reading and just kind of see what comes up. I've been on for the last hour on Facebook with not for the last, about 45 minutes, with a group of readers from the Oracle, which is the store you've heard me talk about, where I do live readings when all is in-person readings when all is well. And so we're doing a psychic panel every Tuesday at 11:11, the Oracle on Facebook. So today's questions were all about business. I guess a lot of people are feeling a little antsy about that. So this is a general reading for the new moon in Taurus, and I just want to acknowledge that tomorrow being Earth Day, and we're in this earthy sign of Taurus, and also with this energy of really needing to step slowly and to connect with the earth, to care for the earth, just really keeping all of that in mind. So if we can bring that energy in to everything that we do, to our work, to our family life, I think that medicine is gonna help us all immensely. So I'm pulling a few cards from Tarot of the Hidden Realm, and then I'm going to pull an Oracle card as well. Business is not funny. So Pentacles, and Ace of Swords. So this feels like it's funny, when you do readings, multiple readings on the same day, very close together, there is this general, very much a general theme. And so if you can find and so this might relate to some of you through your physical health, it might relate through your business. Now think of all of the things that the Suit of Pentacles is associated with. And right now, just being home and with the energy of your home and your hearth. Hi, Nina. Nice to see you. And so just really kind of embrace the energy, the earthiness of the Suit of Pentacles, the colors, the feeling, the smells. So bring in all of the senses around the energy of earth. And of course, yes, you can bring in the coins and the gold and that aspect as well too, if that's what you're needing to bring in at this time. Okay, so here's what I'm going to suggest. How many of you have done an abundance grid? That's what this feels like to me. It feels like an abundance grid is going to help to create clarity around all of that. And so, you know what? I'm going to speak to that because for some reason, that's what's coming through to me is to, if you don't know how to do it, I'm going to teach you how to, hi, Gypsy Jade. Thanks for your comments yesterday. I'm going to actually go through that. And so I'm just going to stand up and I'm going to take apart. This is really interesting. Okay. So I'm just reaching onto my altar and I'm going to take a few things off my altar. And this is fun because new moon, it's a really good time to rebuild all of this stuff and to put new energy into it. And so I will. Okay. This is kind of fun, actually. I love it when things just naturally evolve and it's just really, hi Sherry Bug, nice to see you. So the 3 cards that I pulled, if you're interested, so I'm talking Tarot of the Hidden Realm, are Page of Pentacles, Father of Pentacles, and then Ace of Swords. And so, but this message about building this abundance grid came through loud and clear. So that's what I'm going to share with you. If this is not something that you do. So a grid can be built with lots of different things. And if we're talking about the earth right now and the earthiness, if you do have a garden, you might want to build this grid in your garden. You could build it with rocks from the earth. You can pick up on any sacred shape, any sacred geometry. You might want to bring in the shape of a triangle. You might want to build a hexagram. You could do a square and you could grid, like if you have a square garden, you could grid the four corners of your garden or your home, because we're talking pentacles. So maybe what that means is you choose a place in your home to represent. So this is one of the things about gridding, because gridding, if you're going to grid the whole property or grid the whole home, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so I'm going to get to individual questions. And so the first person who has priority date is going to be Tamsin if she pops in, because she's been waiting for a question. And then I'll get to Sherry Bug. So I'm happy to do that. So Sherry Bug will be next. And Jen, as long as you're here, if you can keep track, that would be great. So what I want to say about building these abundance grids, because this is really beautiful medicine, because it can help to bring in all of the abundance, not just the financial that we need, but the abundance of health and the abundance of the nourishment of the physical body that is so important at this time. And so in building an abundance grid, we are building, so we take the micro and we allow the micro to represent the macro. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to choose 4 crystals that I had up on my altar that represent abundance. And I'm going to put those into the shape of a square. So I'm going to use pyrite. These are all fairly small chunks here. And this is a piece of aventurine. And so green rocks, generally speaking, in an abundance grid, not only represent the earth, but they're associated with money as well too. And so pyrite has so pyrite is kind of heavy. It has iron in it, and we have that grounded quality, but also we have the shininess of the gold. So that's why pyrite works really well in an abundance grid. I love peacock ore, because peacock ore kind of elevates the energy of an abundance grid. It feels like, excuse me, it feels like it brings a little bit of magic. And I feel like in an abundance grid, we can get carried away with feeding it on a daily basis around our financial needs, and to always kind of tap into the energy of Sri Lakshmi, the energy of the one of the Hindu deities that is associated with abundance, and that abundance is so much more than our financial resources. So to really kind of, that's what the peacock war does for me. So I'm placing these, I'm going to choose one more, these 4 rocks. And so this piece of chrysocolla is really beautiful. It says so many things to me. It's just a little tiny polished piece of chrysocolla. It looks a bit like the earth, and it has so many different healing properties. I'm not going to take the time to go into chrysocolla right now, but I've had this little polished chrysocolla in my abundance grid for quite some time, and it just seems to really belong there because it represents and holds all that energy of the earth. I'm going to watch the comments to see if other people are buffering too. I also I'm going to carry on with the grid. I just want to say that I was on earlier and we were on StreamYard. The sound was terrible. And so today, apparently, there's a lot of people on right now at this time. And so if things are not going well, it's just because there's just so much traffic out there in the ether. And then in the center of the grid, I'm going to place this obelisk. I like to put clear quartz in the center. And then one of the things, and I have this beautiful citrine is also a really amazing piece to put into an abundance grid. But I'm building a square, so I'm just going to put the 4 rocks into a corner, and then I've placed the what did I say? The obelisk of crystal into the center. And then around the outside, I have all these crystal points, and I'm just going to place these crystal points. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 crystal points around the outside. So really, really simple, really simple grid. This grid for me right here and now, so this is the intention is an abundance grid. The grid is to connect my family, my home, this next moon cycle to the richness of the earth, to all of the abundance that is out there that we don't recognize. And then I'm going to take a crystal point, a crystal wand. I've shown you this one before. This is actually quite a large piece. This came back from South America. My daughter gifted this to me. It has so many beautiful occlusions in it. And so I'm going to take this crystal point and I'm going to join. So what I do is I join the center point to each of the rocks that are placed in this grid. And so I'm just doing that now to connect each of the points. And that's basically it. So on a daily basis, if this were in the garden, if this were in the corners of my bedroom, if this were a little tiny grid to represent the macro, every day I go back and I feed the grid. So I offer incense or Palo Santo, and then I put my intention into it, say a little prayer around the energy of abundance. And so that, to me, is what this new moon reading is about. It's about creating and understanding the subtle energies of abundance. And by creating a crystal grid, I'll show you some of the other rocks I got here because I pulled so many off my altar just quickly. I want to show you one more. Usually this little guy is in my abundance grid. It's a little tiny jade, Anukshuk. So that's it. That's what I do when I'm creating an abundance grid. And I just today it just felt like a square was the shape that that the grid needed to be. So there's a lot of, and I'm going to come back and probably do that for you. I'm going to come back and we'll talk about sacred geometry and the different shapes of creating a crystal grid and how that factors into the energy of the kind of grid that you're working with. Okay, so the square feels really good for the foundation, right? And so that feels very earthy, like the cards that I'm looking at, this opportunity, this clarity that needs to come forth through the Ace of Swords. And so that's your reading for April 21st, 2020. Page of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. So yeah, pretty sweet. Okay, move all of this out of the way and then I will get to your questions. Hello everybody who I haven't said hello to. So Sherry Bug says, I for sure need an abundance grid. Lost my EMT job, then filed for unemployment, haven't got a penny, but started orientation for a new EMT job, but hurt my knee. Ugh, feels like I'm cursed. Okay, so Sherry, there's a really, I don't know if you heard what I said at the beginning. The planets are just not in optimal positions right now. We need to move forth very, very carefully. I would encourage you to look at the energy of Saturn right now. Saturn is directly connected to the knee. And all of the lessons that evolve through your history, your story with your knees is going to come to a climax at this point. So to nourish your knees, rub your knees, massage your knees. You can use crystal healing, you can use Reiki, you can use all kinds of things, but really take this time. You've been knocked off your feet. There's a reason you need to quite literally, be on your seat right now. Okay, you need to be, when our knees fall out, our hands go to the earth. And so this connects with everything that I've been saying. Okay, all right, so let's go back. I don't know if somebody posted a question already, but I'm ready to go with very specific questions. Do you ever leave cards in your grids as a focal point? That's a really good question. Yes, is the answer to that for sure. Now, sometimes I create not sometimes, I almost always have a healing grid in my house. And what I do in the healing grid is I cut little pieces of paper and I put people's names underneath the central piece in the grid. And so sometimes that can fill up. And then I offer the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, Om Triambakam. I offer that mantra to feed that particular healing grid. And then as far as, that's another good question, Nina. As far as putting actual cards in the grid, sometimes I will choose a specific card. Like if I have soul flower on let's just use this one. So let's see. Maybe, I'm not sure if there's a card of abundance in this deck. So let's suppose, suppose I was looking for a specific aspect of abundance. So maybe, I would put this card in the grid. And then I tell you, without fail, I would go to the garden center and what would be the first plant I see is columbine. And then I would bring it home and I would make sure it got planted in one of my pots, something like that. So usually when I place a card in, it's very intentional. It's a very specific card that I'm looking for to amplify that energy. And either I stand it behind or around or amongst. And here I have this little piece of lapis, or it might be sodalite. I don't know what it is. It's probably sodalite. And this one is usually in my abundance grid, and I have quite a few of these, and they go in different places with different intentions. Nina asks, how many days do you let the grid be? Well, I would say about a month, usually about a month. I mean, there's this whole, they get dusty, they need to be cleaned, the energy needs to be cleared, the crystals need to be moved, they need new life, they need sun, they need to be washed. And so I wouldn't leave a grid for 3 months or a year. Sorry, I'm on quite a wobbly table today. Yeah, so I would say about a month, at least a couple of weeks. And I find that it's a really beautiful practice because I go back and, you know, I offer smoke or sound, and then I go back and connect all of the points. And it's very quick, and it's a lovely practice to have. Yeah. So that's it. Okay. So Ravinder Deep, you were the first person that signed on today. Do you have a question? Because I don't know if I got to your question the last time I did live readings. I know Sherry Bug, I thought Sherry Bug had a very specific question there, but I think that really focusing on the medicine of Saturn and doing a little bit of reading about Saturn right now might bring some clarification and an aha moment for you. Yeah. So while I'm waiting for questions, I have a few other things I can share with you. I got the Hush Tarot. I have not cracked it open. I don't know how many of you have this deck in your collection. I really, it's a very small guidebook, but I enjoyed the little introduction about Jeremy Hush and about just kind of where he's coming from as an artist. And so I'm really looking forward to working with this deck. It feels like a deck that is perfect to have around right now, right up until the summer solstice. So I'm going to probably open this later. Maybe I'll open it during this reading. And a few weeks back on my live, I talked about, what was it, the movie? Tarology, the movie by Enrique Enriquez that was produced by him, and how I was wanting to really, I mean, I've always read the story in the cards. I always read facings. I pay attention to who is facing what way, whether different cards are engaged or not engaged, that kind of thing. Hi, Ange, nice to see you. And as in the Tarology movie, there's a point where, maybe it's not in there. Anyway, after the movie, I was looking at all of these different creators of the tarot, and so I ordered a couple of the Tarot de Marseille. And so I just received yesterday, I got this one and this one. So, and we were talking about in my live on Tuesday about why I like the Tarot de Marseille, and that mainly has to do with the minors. And I love the fluidity, and I like the mandala that the minors start to paint in a reading. And I'm really, really curious about some of the things that I have picked up again by revisiting a lot of my Tarot de Marseille books and resources and things like that. So so I'm going to really be working with that over the next few months and exploring some of these older style decks. And I'm really intrigued with just those, 4 or 5 basic colors and how that might play into my reading a bit more, because as you know, I tend to pick up on all the chakra stuff and all of the different, the connections with, hi, Lisa. And with all of the different, subtle layers, and I tend to get quite complicated in my readings with all of the different things that I've studied. And so I feel like focusing on some of these older Tarot de Marseille decks is going to, it's like a pause. I feel like the simplification is really, really needed at this time. So thank you. Thanks for that. All right, so let's get going. I can't believe you guys aren't all asking questions. I'm here today to do readings for you, and we're already 25 minutes in, which means I'm probably only going to do, 4 or 5 readings. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go ahead. Yeah. The other thing that I have to share with you is about choosing decks for the season and how that has Lisa would love a reading. I'm happy to do a reading, so go ahead and fire your question. Is that choosing decks for the season is I find it's really important. Like I was talking about the crystal grid, and just 2 seconds, like a few minutes ago, I wiped away an abundance grid that already existed. And we get attached to our decks, we get attached to our grids, and we don't like to break them down and put them away. But it's so good to clear that energy. Hi, Sophie. Go ahead and write your questions down. Hi, Fancy Dress. I haven't seen you in ages. Nice to have you here. And so working with this spring energy has really, it's really been nice to work with decks. And that's why I really want to bust open the Hush Tarot, because I feel it's just going to really be in alignment with everything that's going on right now. Lisa says, in my daily draws yesterday, I got a very strong message to accept the gift of courage. I'd love to know in what way I'm being called to embrace courage right now. Okay. And RB, I'll address your question next. So Lisa, earlier on, I was talking about how astrologically the signs have shifted. And while we are stepping into the new moon in Taurus, the new moon is actually sitting in the horns of Aries. And so this courage feels very kind of ball busting right now. And it feels very aggressive. And so I think when we're feeling that kind of surgence of courage, we need to kind of check in and make sure that we don't have the blinders up, that we're looking in all directions. We're looking to the side, we're looking behind. And I mentioned in bringing in all of the senses. So the senses can be really, sometimes we forget not only to not listen, to smell, to touch, to feel, and to really pay attention. So look for repetitive signs and energy. Okay, so these cards are for Lisa at Supportive Tarot to create clarity around her courage. It's really interesting. In my internal gaze, I'm seeing the gates. I'm seeing the gates that often sit around a mandala, and I do not have a mandala on a like a Sri Yantra or something. You know, the gates that go around the outside. You know, like the Bupuri, I think they're called. So, what does that mean for your courage? That has something to do with your courage. So that just might actually mean something about the reining in of the courage. Oh my God, I'm pulling the same cards. Ooh, this is lovely. In answer to your question, RB, so one of the decks is definitely Tarot of the Hidden Realm, just because of its earthy colors and all of that. So specifically, Lisa, you said, I'd love to know in what way I'm being called to embrace courage right now. So I'm aware, like, how well you connect with people, how well you inspire people with your emotions and with your passion. And so when I'm staring at this Three of Cups card here, I want to say to you to feel even braver, even bolder in some of the topics that you broach, in some of, I mean, how could you and Peggy be any bolder or braver? Perhaps because you've chosen to steer away from certain connections, from certain energy. It feels like, you know, when I'm looking at the faces of these three girls, it's like, you know, that kind of expression, well, okay, come on. You know what you need to talk about. It's that thing, you know, this is what we need to celebrate. This is the emotion that needs to come to the surface. And this is going to bring so much clarity and so much insight for everybody. It's like they're looking directly at you. The third card is life renewed. And so when I see that acorn being offered, it's being offered to you. It's being offered to you so you can plant. So you can actually plant that seed. I want you to take that quite literally. I'd like you to take something over the next day or two, a particular seed, a particular plant. Maybe you can get out, you know, I don't know what's open in your neighborhood, and to actually put your intention into that plant and to put it into the ground and to plant that seed and to make a little ceremony around it. It's right there. It's right there for you. And this feels so much bigger than yourself. As you know, this work that you do as a light worker is monumental. You know, it's a gift to so many people. Okay, let's see if we can get more specific with this courage, or reinforce some of the things I've already said. It's about digging deep, Lisa. It's about really finding the courage to allow those couple of topics that have been on the back burner that you haven't wanted to go with to come forth, so that you can truly, so that your Self-Worth Saturday, so that you as a writer, you as a creator, you in all of your work that you do outside of what that I'm aware of, is able to connect with others through the beauty of that courage, by allowing people to know that it's okay. It's okay to go deep and to dark, to go deep and dark. And it's okay to allow those emotions to come to the surface, because ultimately, you know, that darkness will come to the surface, and it will be something you'll be able to celebrate and release with your sisterhood. So yeah, so I hope that helps. So I'm going to go back to Arby's question just before I carry on. And so what I'm looking for decks for spring, and the senses to me are really important. And this deck for me, not only is the colors, but I smell the earth. I feel the earth. And there's something about spring and Tarot of the Hidden Realm that just feels so very, very right with me. And then I usually pair Tarot of the Hidden Realm with, I think this is the Raven Fallon deck, Messenger Oracle by Raven Fallon. I just find that these two decks work really, really well together. This deck is still available in the Russian version. This is a deck that I use a lot for spring. This is the Victorian Fairy Tarot. And if you go to my channel and you, and I actually started to do a full in-depth review of this deck, why I'm working with it and why I love it so much. And I got halfway through it and I had to stop. But anyway, this deck, now the French version, the colors are not very saturated. If you go to the Fool's Dog app, the colors are so brilliant and beautiful, much, much more saturated than are on this deck. And the reason that this deck works for this particular season is because of the connection with the plants and again the earth. So the fairies are so intimately connected with the energy of the earth. And so you could use any fairy deck this season. It feels like the right season for the right deck for this particular season. But there's something about this one that I really, really like for spring. And also because I feel that this deck connects really well to timings. And with the spring energy, people are often looking for questions about more divination questions. When are things going to unfold? And the Victorian Fairy Tarot does really, really well with those kind of timing questions. So yeah. And then I pair with a botanical deck. This is the one that I have on my desk today. This is the Soul Flower Oracle. And it's really lovely. You've got quite a significant phrase. You can get it's really beautiful. Pairs really, really well with the Victorian Fairy. Yeah. And so I'm looking for really earth-centric decks. I'm definitely going to pull the Hush into that. The other deck, now it's really funny, I have been using the Way Home Tarot a lot this spring. It started when I did the follow-up readings for my year ahead readings. And I don't know, it's something about this deck, maybe because it feels so, like there's a few cards in this deck that have this real kind of magical window, magical quality. And it doesn't feel particularly like an earth-centric deck. It might have to do with the court cards and that all of the beautiful things that are hidden inside the court cards. It might be that, but I don't know. Oh, what about the 8? So here's, actually, I shouldn't say that. Look at that. We have the 4 of Wands is a bonfire. The Ace of Pentacles is the earth, right? So maybe that's why this deck is working so well for me right now in this season. Yeah. Gorgeous 7 of Pentacles. And the Way Home Tarot. As far as pairing it, usually I'm going to use Roots and Wings with it. Roots and Wings pairs so well with many, many decks, but I find Roots and Wings is a deck that I use with that one. It should be on my table here. I had it out today. I don't know where. Oh, it's right in front of me. And the only thing that I don't like about this deck is I find that whatever the I don't know if it's rose petal finish or whatever it is, I find it's too much. It's just a little bit too sticky. But other than that, I find this deck really, sorry, every time I bring a card up, the lighting shifts, but yeah. Isn't that funny? We like to spend money on indie decks and really high quality cards and high quality stock and finishes and so forth. And then I'm complaining about the quality of the cards. So let's get back to the readings and let's see where we're at with that. Ange D, I don't know what deck. Okay, Victorian Fairy Tarot. Okay, good. You got that cleared up. And so Sonia has a question. So I'm going to go to Sonia's question. And she says, hey, Sadhana, what do I need to focus on right now concerning what is hidden or suppressed? Okay. So, Sonia, that question is a really good question to ask in 2 weeks. I am all about timings with readings, the appropriateness of questions at certain times of the month, certain times of the year. But I understand you kind of don't wait 2 weeks don't want to wait 2 weeks for that question. And we are in, it's going to be dark. We are in the darkness. There's no illumination from the moon. So sometimes it's very, very hard to see what is hidden or what is suppressed. And so I would invite you, just before I even pull cards for you, what's coming up is this will be revealed for you through your relationships with other people, of course, as it is with everybody else. So to look to the person who is causing you the most stress right now, the relationship that's causing you the most stress, and to really do some journaling and some soul searching about that relationship that you just feel you cannot heal. You don't have the energy to heal. You don't have the energy to move through whatever that is about. Okay, so there's going to be a nugget in there for you. It's a very, very hard question that you're asking. The next thing is to connect to the element of water. So whatever that means for you. So when we're digging deep into the soul, when we're digging into these karmic situations, these karmic relationships, we want to connect with water. And water is going to help to reveal that and to help us to allow to go where we need to go. So that might mean having a bath, having a sacred bath. It might mean going down to the creek or the river. It might mean putting crystals in your water bottle out in the sun. So once you tune off here to go get your favorite water bottle and put crystals in it and to charge your water with crystals, there's something about the magical energy of water that helps us to bring clarity around the question that you asked. Ooh. So Sonia. Oh, we have two. Oh, so that's Sophie. Sonia asked, what do I need to focus on right now concerning, okay. So Sonia, the ugliest, most difficult relationship that hurts the most, the place that you can't go, and to face it with the energy of the Queen of Swords, from all of that wisdom that you hold, that you possess within. So to dig deep into your own inner wisdom, your own inner truth, and to face that relationship with that kind of clarity. You see, the Queen of Swords does have that kind of coldness about her, but she knows, and she knows what her truth is, and she knows how to speak her truth. And so you need to embody her energy to face and to be with those challenging situations. And so this is your time to reach out through the internet, through a letter, via snail mail, through in some way. Do you know who this relationship is that I'm talking about? I'm really, really curious, because the reason that this relationship has been so very, very challenging is because it tugs at the core of your own insecurities, of your own self-esteem. And so even though you feel that you can't go there, you need to go there for your own well-being and to find the courage to do that at this time. Okay, so right, this is how brave you need to be. Okay, I'm going to pull an oracle card. I hope this is making sense for you. Okay. And the oracle is be vigilant. So be vigilant really speaks to the energy of the Queen of Swords. So as you approach this relationship, as you approach this difficult, painful situation, you might want to write down exactly what it is you have to say. You might want to find some resources, like find some quotes of inspiration. You might want to, read a few pages of Rumi or something. I feel like you need to prepare yourself and then go in with all the courage and inner strength that you have. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just looking back in the comments. Oh, and I have a couple other things that I want to share with you just in case you don't know this. And I know I've kind of mentioned this before. So there's a few things. So one thing now is that YouTube is really, really busy. It takes them a long time to actually process and to render the live videos. So for the people that are watching the live video, say in 1 hour from now, they're not going to see the live comments because they haven't rendered yet. It's taking things a real long time to process. And the other thing that's happening is that I have found, and I'm 100% certain it's not because people have deleted their comments, but not every single comment in the live chat, and I know you can choose top chat or live chat, appears in the rendered version. Somehow, mysteriously, some people's comments are not there. So I wish in a way I had an ability to kind of save all of these comments here, because I can't see some of them back in the rendered version. It's really frustrating. That's my dog Amber. She's whining. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. I believe it was Sophie. Okay. Sophie, love, love, love. So please don't be distracted by Amber. She may continue to cry for a little bit here. Sophie, one of the things with this kind of question is that really important to empty your cup. And that means to burn the old love letters. It means to donate, to give away, to repurpose the jewelry from the old relationship. And I guess I'm speaking to everybody who's asking this question right now. We can, and I think there's nothing wrong with keeping a memory, but when you have boxes and boxes of old letters and old journals and old jewelry and all of that, it's almost as if there's no space energetically for a new relationship to come in. So make sure that you probably know what I'm talking about. There may be something that you need to release and something that you need to let go of. Okay, so that you let the universe know, okay, I'm open, my cup is open, and I'm ready. All right, so this question is for Sophie. These cards are for Sophie about her next relationship, the energy around the next relationship. All right. So one of the rules of tarot is to go with what you have and to try to keep going until you find a card that's easier to read. And so I'm going to go with what I have. And I want to know what this is about. So in this Two of Pentacles, there are two snake babies emerging from these eggs. And I want you to think about that. Sophie, what are these two babies that are emerging from these eggs? And they are protected. They are protected by this infinite symbol, this symbol of infinity, but also this symbol, like this, the infinity symbol never stops moving. It provides this limitless amount of energy to, it feels like, is there a business partner? Is there somebody that you started a creative project with that perhaps you fell in love with and you weren't sure if it felt quite right? Because I'm going with the two. We're in the Suit of Pentacles, and so I'm wondering if there's not something in your recent past, if there's something about that, if there's somebody at work, somebody that you can be creative with. If there's something you've considered creating, that relationship might very well come through working with that person. So it might start as a working relationship and then evolve into a more intimate relationship. It feels like the two of you not only will birth a business together, but maybe, birth something else together. The Three of Wands is the second card. And when I looked at this, I just felt so much hope and beauty and possibility. And so to like I said this to somebody a little while ago, is to just really have all of your senses open. And that feels like the energy of this new moon right now. So asking about a new relationship around this time is also, it's a good thing to do, because that means that you feel open. So take into consideration what I said about making sure that your cup is empty, and so that there is room energetically for it to come in. But that Three of Wands feels like it's right there. So I would explore any relationships connected to business, to creating something with somebody. And maybe this somebody is not somebody that you have considered working with before. It might be actually quite discombobulating to actually think of having a relationship with that person. Okay. Okay, so maybe older, perhaps older, definitely a grounded person, but you are going to feel resistance to it. That's what I'm getting. You feel resistance to something that might be right there. So just keep this in the back of your mind as you move through the next few months. I find when you ask this kind of question, it's kind of right there over the next few months and weeks. It looks very, very balanced, but the only thing that I would say to you is to ask yourself, where is your resistance coming from? And that's what you need to clear so that this relationship can come forth. Okay. All right. IT guy. Hello. IT guy. Nice to have you here. All right. IT guy. So IT guy, stop what you're doing and just kind of focus on the reading. And hopefully you've heard and you've picked up on some of the things that I've already mentioned, because it's just the way that these things work, right? Everybody who's here, present, listening to this chat at this time. Oh, Christina had a question first. Okay, Christina, I'll do you next, okay? Hi, Claudia. Nice to see you. Christina, I'll scroll back and get your question. I'm just going to focus on IT's general reading. Big breath in, IT guy. Big breath out. IT guy, it feels like you feel restricted in some way. IT guy, I feel like you really, really need to let go. Like, it feels like I want to ask you, why are you holding on so tight? If you were several years, like it's almost like I want you to go back to when you were a little kid and, shake out your sillies. I want you to go, if you have children, go blow raspberries on their bellies. I want you to do something that feels so far out of your comfort zone. It's like you need to bust out of your shell. What is that shell there? And why are you carrying that shell? That is the energy that I feel all around you. And IT guy says, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so very physically look after this. So maybe that's about not wearing the same clothes tomorrow or even later today. Like put on a different jacket, or take a jacket off, or like burn those old jeans that you've worn for 20 years, right? So to actually physically start to remove the shell, physically let go of layers. I was talking about the love reading earlier for somebody about burning those old love letters. It's the same thing. Sometimes in the physical world, we need to let go of something so that the new things can come in. But yours feels more like a protection. About why is that protection up? Why can't you be yourself? Why have you created this fortress around you? And how are you going to take this down rock by rock, piece by piece, so that you can feel freer, because you want to feel that freedom. Okay, so for you, some breath work might really help. Breath work is really powerful, and perhaps you don't breathe deeply and breathe well right now. So that might be something that might be really challenging. So I just encourage you to lie down, place your hands on your belly, and start to understand and feel what it means to breathe with your whole body, to do belly breaths. You can Google it, look up yogic belly breath. And it means to start being aware of your diaphragm and to start feeling what it's like to actually breathe. That might really, really help. Okay, IT guy. I wish we could do an in-person reading. I feel like I need to really press some buttons and get you to cry. And I want to ask you about your mom. And I want to ask you about your mom. And perhaps this fortress has something to do with that relationship, some healing that's there. And so if you have any friends, kids, methods of allowing that emotion to come to the surface, that busting through might just mean some good old-fashioned tears to allow yourself to really feel that something. It's it feels like you have literally built this wall. My mom is in nursing home right now with coronavirus. She's but I'm talking about your intimate relationship with her. Like, is there anything that, so I'm going to take this as your mom is the hermit right now, right? I need to stick with that first thing I was saying. Okay. And that is about the fortress that you've built around yourself, the fortress that you've built around your heart, perhaps. And you need to allow this to blossom. And so maybe just talking to your mom, because coronavirus is about the lungs, right? So coronavirus is about that whole energy of the heart chakra. And so nourishing your relationship with her, making sure that everything you need to say, any questions that you want to ask her, to go there and to be brave enough to go there. And to, I said earlier on, something about going back to your childhood and allowing yourself to be that little boy that you were. You know, there's an innocence, there's a naivety to your healing. Yeah. You know, when the first card is the Three of Pentacles, and then I'm looking at this Empress, and I'm looking at these peaks here, these shapes, and it feels like, to me, like you've piled so many layers on layers on layers, and so this climb up the mountain feels monumental. So my advice to you is to take this one layer at a time, one feeling at a time, but maybe for the first time in your adult life to really go there. Okay? Thank you. All right. So, hi Claudia. Christine, I'm going to go back to Christine's question. Christine, thanks IT guy. It's nice to have the feedback. Christine would like advice from Spirit for the present moment. Okay. So, Christine, I want to invite you to just, and for those of you that have readings, I'm not saying this from a businesswoman point of view, because you don't make business money in this business, but there's an exchange of energy that's really, really beautiful. And so even if you donate $1, there's this exchange of energy that I think is really, really important. Even when I'm working in the store doing readings for staff, it's important to exchange that energy. And so you can do that through Super Chat. You can do it through, I have a couple of donation links below, right? So, yeah. And of course, your kind words are always appreciated too. Okay, Christine. Spirit. Christine, do you have some heaviness in your heart as well too? I'm feeling kind of short of breath. Short of breath. So I want you to get grounded. Can you go outside, take off your shoes, put your feet on the grass, put your feet in the dirt? Can you lie down on the lawn? Something? I feel like you can't catch your breath. Can you go down to the beach, get some rocks, hold on to some rocks? No driving today. No, I don't want you to go anywhere. I know we're in self-isolation, but people are still going out to the grocery store and all kinds of things. Please don't drive. I want you to create a nest today. That might mean you have to do a bit of cleaning, move a few things around, but I want you to create a nest. I want you to create a place where you can sit and get some favorite books. If you don't have enough food in the house, to make yourself a good meal, I don't know, phone a neighbor to go do your shopping or get somebody else in your house to go get the groceries. Don't go anywhere today. I need you to put your feet down on, no, not right now. When we're done. When we're done. I want you to feel, but right now, while we're doing this reading, take off your shoes, take off your socks. Okay. Have you done any gardening, Christine? Just saying. You got the Ace of Pentacles. You got the Ace of Pentacles here and the Hermit. And so everything, the Hermit was the first card that I pulled after I was saying about don't go anywhere today, stay home, create yourself a nest. So the cards are confirming exactly what I was saying to you. And so there's a reason for this. There's a reason why you need to do this. You need to kind of pull in, like you need to calm your nervous system. Okay, so I'm going to put on my yoga teacher hat right now because this is really important for everybody, okay? So there's this, the way my camera is set up, I can't really stand up and do this, so I'm just going to talk you through this pose. It's very, very simple, but it's really important. For Christine, because you're the one that spurred this question. So standing, so when you stand, and you can do this now, if you put your phone down, put your stand up in front of your computer. I'm not going to demo because then you're just going to look at my midsection of my body. And stand with your feet underneath your hips. If you have your shoes on, take off your shoes, take off your socks. And come into, allow your arms to extend beside your body, palms facing towards me. And just stand. Allow the energy to drain down your arms. Feel your feet. And just gently sway side to side. You can circle your body. And understand that when you're standing like this, the body is never still. The body is seeking equilibrium. The body is seeking balance. And so really just feel yourself standing. Be curious about your inner arches, whether you're pronating a little bit. Be aware of your whole foot. So you want to invite the body to come into equilibrium. So you might need to fire up those inner arches. Feel balanced, front and back, not leaning too far forward like you're in your ski boots, not leaning back. You want to loop your shoulders up and back, feel nice and tall and open. Okay? Now I want you to energize your legs. So fire up the muscles in your legs. And as you fire up the muscles in your legs, notice how that begins to connect to your low core. So your perineum, the internal core, and just begin to zip up like you're zipping up a zipper up your whole body. Okay, and then when you're ready, inhale your arms overhead. Interlace your fingers. So interlace your fingers, and then turn your palms up towards the ceiling. If you have a lot of tension in your shoulders, you can bend your elbows. And then look straight ahead. So not necessarily at me, but look straight ahead. Find something still to look at. And then go back, re-engage your legs, the whole body. And then very slowly begin to inhale up to the balls of your feet. Some of you can come up half an inch. Some of you might be able to come up like stilettos. All right, this is such an easy, relatively easy balancing posture. Reset for the nervous system. Okay, if you've got this, then the next step is to take your gaze up toward where the wall meets the ceiling. Keep breathing. Keep feeling engaged in your legs and your low core. And then you may or may not be able to take your gaze right up to those interlaced fingers. And then when you're done, you bring the gaze down You can take a big breath in and then release your hands and release your heels down to the ground. Okay, so there's a little bit more to that posture, but it's a really simple balancing posture done on 2 feet. You can do it anywhere, anytime. There's no contraindication. Okay, and if it's too much, if you have too much shoulder tension, you could just leave your arms down by your side, or you could rest your fingertips on your shoulders. Yeah. So these kind of yogic practices, really mindful kind of yogic practices, can really help with feeling grounded and resetting the nervous system, which, Christine, is what you need to do. You need to reset your nervous system. That's why everything came up that I said. That's why you've pulled the Hermit card. The second card is the Hierophant, right? So you're looking for the teacher. You're looking for the guidance. And so there may be other people besides the one you're reaching out to today that will be open to their messages. Okay, and then I've got the Ace of Pentacles. So I want you to be out there in the dirt. Again, another person who would benefit from the gardening. So I hope that helps. Not only Christina, but everybody out there in Tarot land today. Okay, so we are at 1:11. We've been on 1 hour and 11 minutes. That's really beautiful. So I am going to sign off for today. And I see there's a couple other questions that I probably haven't gotten to, but I need to create some space for myself, for my own intentions, and I will be planting a garden. The garden is ready, and we'll be planting with two of my daughters who are here as well at this time. So we're going to do that, and I need to kind of reset for my day. So it was really lovely to have you all here, and I'm thinking that I want to do this more often. I really enjoy these live readings, and so I will make sure you subscribe to my channel and you hit the bell. If you don't hit the bell, you don't get every notification. So if you want to know when I'm going live, make sure you hit the bell. And there is what else do I want to tell you? Okay, so if you like that kind of thing that you heard with that balancing yoga class, I teach 2 yoga classes on Zoom. And one of them is on Monday nights. I live on the west coast of Canada, so it's Pacific time. One is 7 p.m. Pacific time, and one on Monday night. And the other one is Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And I'll make sure that I have those linked afterwards. I'll put them in the description box below. But that link is on many previous videos. It's also on my community page. So if you go to the community tab on my YouTube page, the link is there in the last 2 buttons. And it's a free yoga class. Both of them are very, very gentle. Monday night is all on the floor. Thursday is a little more active, but also very gentle, mindful breath kind of practice. So you might like to connect with me in that way as well too. I've thought about doing yoga on YouTube, but it's not really the forum, and I like to be a little more conscientious about who I'm working with, and it's a big responsibility being a yoga teacher. There's a lot that goes on in a practice. So yeah, so I'm going to continue to do it through Zoom as long as I'm able. Yeah. So I want to wish you all well, and I look forward to connecting with you again or chatting with you in the comments below. Stay well. Namaste.